Hey everyone, Tin Man here, and just moments ago, Underlords has released a massive patch, or rather at least the patch notes for a massive patch that should be coming out onto live servers in the next day or two. And this patch is huge. I mean, I think this is the biggest patch we've ever had. It hits stuff with a battle pass, it has changes to alliances, it has changes to heroes, items, and this is just a massive patch. So a lot of this, I kind of skimmed it before starting recording here, but a lot of this I'll be seeing for the first time, and I'll be giving you live feedback and reactions on it. All right, so first, general, some battle pass stuff, added new loadouts, new custom boards, and changed the XP. Sweet. I'm not huge on cosmetics, but I know there are some people who are really into it, so good stuff and good changes here. Some optimizations on mobile. Once again, good stuff, not too interesting to talk about. Gameplay, combat persists while some abilities are completed, like Lich, Witch Doctor. Okay, so that might lead to some more ties or some less damage if you have those abilities bouncing around. Summons are no longer included in targeting, except for special summons like Arc Warden and Spirit Bear. So that's nice. We won't just randomly target summons like Lycan Wolves and Venomancer, but that does represent a nerf to those units. So I don't think those units really needed a nerf, but fair enough. Fix Assassins. Okay, that's a bug fix. Assassins now have enemies in their attack range will attack instead of jumping. So this is actually a change. If you watched my positioning guides where I talked about Assassins, and I made a point to note that this was how that used to work in old auto chess games, and it did not work this way in Dota Underlords. Now it does work that way, so that's an interesting change. So now there'll be a little bit more positioning ideas around assassins rather than just throw them anywhere, throw them on the back line. You'll now have a bit more considerations to take in about assassins. Change the length of prep phase, so that should speed up the early game, just in the first 3 rounds, so the early game should go by a little bit quicker. Notification, blah, blah, blah. Okay, nothing really interesting here. Here's one that's interesting. You won't see heroes from the previous shop whenever you re-roll. So that should help to complete upgrades. When you're really digging for certain units, it will basically exclude the 5 units that you already saw and that you rejected, essentially. You know, if you don't want the units that are showing up and you re-roll it, you'll have better odds of finding what you want. So that should mean people are going to get higher, more 2-star units, more 3-star units. So you'll have more powerful endgame, especially when a lot of people are re-rolling a lot. Alliance changes. Warlock Alliance now targets units with the lowest health percent, not the lowest health value. Minor change. I don't think that's a big deal. Warlock Alliance lifesteal change from 50, 100, 150 to 50, 80, 130. So overall, I think this is a nerf to Warlock Alliance. I don't think it's really justified. I mean, Warlock Alliance is still, I think, is like a secondary alliance that you want to pursue, on the side rather than building your whole composition around it. I don't think it's very strong if you do that. So slight nerf, nothing huge. Scrappy Alliance changed from if you have less units at the start versus less units alive. So that actually even plays more into the scrappy ideal. If you're losing the fight, your guys will get stronger. Troll Alliance Tier 1 now provides 10% attack speed bonus to all allies. It used to be 30% to the trolls only. So this is actually a nice, it's less of an all or nothing to go with trolls. Previously, you had to get 4 trolls, and 2 trolls was just getting worthless because it only made the trolls a little bit stronger, who were individually fairly weak units. So this kind of provides a smoother power curve to troll builds. They'll have a little bit 10% bonus before getting the big 30% bonus to everyone. Knights Alliance got nerfed. Hallelujah. Well, at least a little bit at tier 3. Now it's 15, 20, 30% reduction rather than, or it was 30%. Now it's 15, 20, 25. Fair enough. Okay. Unit changes, individual hero changes. Abaddon has been buffed. His attack damage went up slightly, and his aphotic shield increased power at 3-star. Like I said, I've just skimmed all of these patch notes before recording this, and this will be a common theme where they make adjustments to units at 3-star. And in my opinion, that is worthless. Well, not completely worthless, because you do occasionally get units to 3-star, but most of the game occurs at 1 and 2-star on units, and just making changes to 3-star units is like I've played hundreds of games of Dota Underlords, and I think I've had 3-star Abaddon once. It's pretty impressive, to be fair. But come on, like changing 3-star units does not really impact how good a unit is in the meta, unless it is something, unless they're really like 1-cost units where you'll potentially get them to 3-star more often. Anyway, moving on. Arc Warden attack speed now increases as you level him up. His health increased at level 3, or at 3-star. Same thing, Q 3-star rant. And attack damage got buffed. Cool. Arc Warden is an interesting strategy, and I'm glad to see he got a little bit of love. And I hope to see a little bit more Arc Warden in the future. Right now, he's kind of like a fringe strategy that was always interesting, but never very strong. So hopefully this improves it. Clockwork. Armor changed, increased by 1 at 3-star. This is a worthless line of text. Should not include this. Maximum health change got increased by 100, and then 200 and 400 at their respective stars. Attack damage increased. So I read this far and I'm like, oh sweet, Clockwork got buffed, and then I saw its gold cost went from 1 to 3. Garbage. This is the worst change I've read so far. Clockwork's now worthless. I mean, he was already pretty bad compared to how he was in Dota Auto Chess, or in Drodo Auto Chess, the equivalent in that game. So now it costs 3. Absolute garbage. By the time you're getting 3-cost units to 2-star, you should be moving away from the Clockwork, because he just doesn't scale well into late game. His damage tick rate is the same at tier 1 and 2 and gets slightly better at 3-star, but you're never going to get him to 3-star because he now costs 3. Clockwork's not a unit anymore. He's garbage. Enigma. Alliance changed from Primordial Warlock to Primordial Shaman. Very nice change. Warlock was arguably too powerful, and Shaman was underpowered, so changing one of the best units, Enigma, over to Shaman, great change. Midnight Pulse, his ability radius has been decreased. I think when you have a radius of 1, you get a 3x3 grid, I would imagine. So it's smaller. An appropriate nerf. Enigma got nerfed pretty heavily. One way you can think of this as a buff to Shaman and a nerf to Warlock, but it's also a nerf to Enigma himself. The change in Alliance and the reduction of radius, which is fair. Enigma was by far like the best unit in the game, so an appropriate nerf. Kunkka. Ghost ship damage changed, basically reduced by 100 across the board, and cooldown increased from 10 to 15. Once again, Kunkka was pretty much played in every composition. Honestly, I don't think this changes very much. Kunkka still provides good AoE stun. His damage takes a hit, for sure. I guess he moves lower in priority over some of the other 4-cost units like Doom and Troll Warlord. I don't know if they got changed. I haven't read all of these notes yet. But he maybe moves down in priority in the 4-cost list, but he's still pretty good. Lina, Laguna Blade, damage changed, increased by 200 damage at 3-star. Get out of here. This is stupid as all hell. Like, really? You're going to buff it by 200 damage at 3-star? That's the change you're going to make to Lina? I can't even comprehend why they thought this would change anything at all about Lina. Like, this, like, I know I complained about other small changes to 3-star changes, but 200 damage? Like, this is stupid. This is completely irrelevant. Lina's in the exact same spot she was in before, which was not a great spot. Lone Druid. Maximum mana change from 100 to 60. Spirit Bear now cast at 60. Did Lone Druid need a buff? Maybe a little bit. It's fair. I mean, he cast a Spirit Bear earlier. That's his whole point, is to cast Spirit Bear. So he now casts it at 60 mana, and yeah, reasonable. Lone Druid still going to be great, and minor change, I'll say. Alliance change from Savage to Savage Druid. I think that only impacts completing the cycle, the Druid global item. So slight buff to Lone Druid, which I'm not sure was necessary, but it's fine. Lycan, maximum health changed, increased by 600 at 3-star. Okay, it's 3-star. To be fair, I've gotten Lycan to 3-star more often than I've gotten Lina to 3-star. Maximum attack damage got buffed at 2-star. Okay, so that's a relevant buff. Oh, wait, no, it didn't. No, it just got buffed at 3-star. What? Oh, come on. You're only changing Lycan at 3-star? Cue the same rant. Okay, it's a recurring theme. Summon Wolves now phase movement and can run through other units. Reasonable, they were just kind of clogging up space before. So now they'll actually move through other units and actually get to their targets quickly. Next change, this is a big one. Medusa, gold cost and draft tier change from 4 to 5. Medusa is now a 5-cost unit. Thank God. Medusa was like... Okay, I said Enigma's the best unit, but Medusa probably actually was. Her split shot now got buffed, which is appropriate because she's now a 5-cost unit. And yeah, Medusa is no longer like the queen of 4-cost units. Now she's probably the queen of 5-cost units. But yeah, now I think this is a substantial nerf to Hunters. Definitely a substantial nerf to Hunters. But I think appropriate because Medusa was just far too good. And clearly no amount of changing her split shot or her stun really affected her spot in the meta. So I will take it as a good change, although I'm a little bit sad because I like playing Hunters a whole lot, and that makes it a lot worse. Mirana, maximum mana change from 100 to 70. Maximum attack damage buffed at all levels. See, that's how you do it. You got to buff at all levels by about, what is that, 10%? Wait, 20%? Yeah, about 20%. Ooh, that's quite substantial. About a 20% buff at all levels, and obviously her shot now cast at 70 mana, so that is a nice buff to Mirana. So I don't know if that really cancels out the Medusa buff in terms of like Hunter players, but it's a welcome change because Mirana felt very underwhelming for a 4-cost unit. Morphling, attack speed changed, it increased, so his attack speed got faster, waveform cast quicker, cooldown is reduced, and the mana cost rate. So substantial buff to Morphling, which is a touch surprising. I guess he was probably like the 6th best assassin, but out of 9 assassins, like he wasn't the worst. I'd say like Bloodseeker, Viper, and I guess Bounty Hunter in the later game was worse than Morphling. So that's fair. I mean, I like playing assassins. I think Morphling could use a little bit of a buff. This seems fairly big of a buff. Pretty substantial attack speed buff, plus he's going to cast his waveform a lot more often now. So, yeah, Morphling looks to be a much more meta unit now. Nature's Prophet, animation cast length changed. Okay, so he casts faster. Okay, that doesn't solve the fundamental problem with him. Lesser Treant now spawn near Nature's Prophet instead of the edge. Attack speed increased and maximum health increased. Okay, so all of this taken together probably moves Nature's Prophet up a little bit. He's still probably going to be playing second fiddle to Treant and Enchantress unless they got nerfed and I haven't seen it yet. Let's just scroll down. Treant has been changed. Okay, so maybe we'll check out what that changes here in a second. Necrophos, Death Pulse cooldown has been increased by 2.5 seconds. Reasonable, because Necrophos was probably the most commonly included unit in the game. Maybe not the strongest, but provided so many good alliances. So an appropriate nerf there. Omni Knight, maximum health changed, increased at 3-star. Give me a break. Attack damage increased at 3-star. Shocker. And Purification, another one of those 3-star crap. Like, okay, yeah, you buffed Omni Knight at 3-star. Who gets a 3-star Omni Knight? Nobody. Next. Phantom Assassin. Another 3-star thing? No, okay. So attack damage base increased at 3-star, but crit chance has changed from 10% at all levels to 15, 25, 20, 25. So a buff to Phantom Assassin and a welcome one, because Phantom Assassin was probably the 5th best assassin. I played assassins a lot, in case you couldn't tell. So definitely a good buff there. Puck. And actually Phantom Assassin is probably one of the ones you're more likely to get to 3-star because she is just so much better at 3-star. So good change. Puck. Maximum mana decreased. Illusory Orb now cast at 60 mana down from 100. So that is pretty substantial. And now, because Puck's big problem was that it had such low auto attack damage that it would gain mana very slowly. You needed Crystal Maiden, and then those are like 2 spots, and then you'd rather be having Razor, and it was just not great because Puck would charge mana so slowly, especially for such a short cooldown on the ability. So now getting the cast at 60 mana is amazing, and we should probably see this is definitely a buff to early game mages, and we should see Puck and mages maybe move a little bit more early on in the meta rather than just being something you transition to much later. Queen of Pain got buffed. Armor changed from 0 to 5. Okay, that's not right. That is not good. Queen of Pain was like the best assassin, at least for her spot in the game. Well, maybe second or third best, but she was great. Massively high damage output. I really liked the aesthetic of, a glass cannon. If she can survive, she gets her scream off, does massive AoE damage. She's typically top DPS in any kind of assassin comp from the moment you buy her till you have like 6 assassins and a 2-star Templar or something like that. She's very good, and even then she's often top DPS. So did not think she needed this buff, especially because it kind of takes away from the glass cannon aspect of her. But hey, I like playing assassins, so it's good. But yeah, from a balance perspective, no, don't do that. Razor. Maximum health changed from 750, got decreased down to 500. That's good, because Razor was really good. Attack damage minimum changed from 50 to 40, so reduced its attack. Gold cost changed from 3 to... What? What? Razor's now a 1-cost unit? Oh my goodness. Okay. Breathe. Attack damage maximum changed. Okay, so it's attack damage got nerfed, yeah. Plasma field max damage changed from 100 to 50, 175 to 100. Okay, so his damage basically got cut in half from his ability, and his auto attack damage is now weaker. Oh boy. Okay, so how do we process this? So this means, along with the Puck change, means that early game mages are definitely a composition now. You can definitely play like Razor. You can get a 2-star Razor pretty quickly, because there's 1 cost now. And that's the damage output there from his ability is now equivalent to what it was at, now equivalent to what it used to be at 1-star. And let's see what else. Auto attack damage would now be increased, right? Because you'll now have I guess it's auto attack damage is still down. Wait, hold on, there's a lot of numbers here, I'm trying to figure it out. So at 2-star you're going to have a minimum of 80 to 100, so 90 attack damage at 2-star, and that is slightly down from what you used to have at 2-star. So you're going to be able to get an easy 2-star Razor, and that should really open up. Yeah, this should really open up the early game mages. Maybe move mages away from like this super strong late game comp to like a more early mid game composition, with Razor and Puck now being much more viable options. You're going to need a lot more damage to come through from Keeper of the Light and Puck rather than Razor. So you're almost certainly going to want to go for 6 mages rather than just 3 in the late game, because your raw magical damage numbers are down, especially with Kunkka going down as well. So wow, this is really substantial. This is going to shift the meta quite a bit, these 2 changes with Razor. I guess they had to make a change since they made Clockwork and threw him up into tier 4 or tier 3. Okay, Sand King, my other favorite assassin. Maximum health increased, attack damage massively increased, health massively increased. Oh yeah, obviously changed from tier 3 to tier 4, and Caustic Finale got buffed all around. Sweet. So Sand King was a really good assassin. He provided an AoE stun, provided some good tankiness, and the Beast or the Savage bonus, which was great with Lone Druid. So now moving up to tier 4 means that you have another assassin you want to get on tier 4 along with Templar, but got, I think, appropriate buffs to his damage and his abilities. So I think this is on on the balance a buff to assassins, because often assassins were kind of fumbling in the late game. They just weren't strong enough once you kind of had your completed 6 assassins plus like 2 or 3 frontliners kind of build. You kind of needed more stats, but you didn't have anything. You didn't have any 4 or 5 cost assassins to get. So now having Sand King be up at 4-star is probably a pretty good change. I like it. Shadow Fiend attack damage has been changed at 3-star. I'm not even going to justify that with a discussion. Slark, maximum health changed, increased at 3-star. That was not necessary. And damage increased at 3-star. This is not necessary. Slark is already like one of the best assassins. You did not need to buff him at all, let alone at 3-star. Do not do that. This is like a big buff to assassins, which, I mean, I like playing assassins, but they were fine beforehand, and like on every point they're buffing assassins. Every single assassin has been buffed so far. That's not true, but a lot of them have been buffed. Sniper attack speed increases now at 3-star, because that's relevant. Health increased at 3-star. They really are pushing this 3-star meta. I guess that's kind of a response to people complaining that, oh, the late game is just dominated by 4 and 5 cost units, so there's no incentive to go to 3-star. Well, now I guess there is kind of an incentive to go to 3-star in some units. They're pushing this power into a lot of units at 3-star. Techies, remote mines has been nerfed. Okay, so it now deals even less damage. That's probably fair. Techies was pretty strong in the whenever he got changed to place his mines in front of him and in a better spot. So fair. It's a fair nerf. Darablade, maximum health buffed at 3-star once again. Okay, so I see what they're doing here, right? Like I said, they're giving you incentives to get to 3-star and things by buffing the crap out of 3-stars on everything. So do I need to take back my rant? No. Because getting to 3-star, like, I don't see like any like you can just put the incentive there and like increase their stats. That doesn't change the fact that it's still really hard to get 3-star units, especially the 3-cost units like Sniper and Terrorblade. It's really expensive. It costs a lot of bench space, and like it takes a long time because those units are not extremely common, and you can't really start finding them until halfway through the game. Even 1-star compared to like 1-cost units like Tiny and Axe and stuff like that, which you're more likely to get to 3-star because you can start accumulating them from round 1 onwards. Whereas Terrorblades are not going to show up until, round 10 on average, something like that. So still, I stand by my 3-star rant. Tidehunter. Alliance change from Scaled Hunter to Scaled Warrior. Oh. Okay, so Tidehunter is no longer a hunter, he's a warrior. So he's now a Tide Warrior. And that sounds like some laundry detergent brand, Tide Warrior. Anyway, maximum health has been decreased. Gold cost has changed from 5 to 4. So now he's a 4-cost unit to kind of flip-flop with Medusa. He had health regeneration, changed from 5 to 0. I didn't know he had health regeneration, be honest with you. So that's pretty irrelevant. He's pretty much a alt and then he's done. Radius has been nerfed from 2-3-4 to 1-2-3. Damage has been nerfed by 50 damage each level, or 50, 100, 100. And duration has... I honestly thought there was no change. Duration has been decreased by 0.25 seconds at 2-star. Whatever. Okay, so this is very interesting. So this means that hunters in order to complete the 6 hunter alliance, now you need to get a 5-cost unit, which is Medusa. Previously you had 7 hunters in the game. Now you only have 6. And previously it was like, well, it's flexible between Medusa or Tidehunter. I mean, ideally you'd get both, but you had some options there. Now it's pretty strict unless there's a change that makes something else a hunter. So I think on the whole that's a nerf to hunters, but a buff to warriors. Definite buff to warriors. The Tidehunter is really strong in warriors, and this should make... Warrior comps were admittedly kind of falling behind in the meta, and so this should honestly bring them back pretty strong. Tinker, maximum health changed from 500 to 750. Attack damage minimum increased. Gold cost changed from 1 to 3. Oh god, they gave him the clockwork treatment. Attack damage increased. Heat-seeking missiles got buffed. Actually, targets reduced. Cooldown. Oh wait, hold on now. Cooldown changed from 864 to 860. 0.5? What? So it has no cooldown. Like, how are you going to get mana that quick? You can't. But like the damage per missile got buffed, but less targets. Ugh. Okay, this is like the weirdest thing. 0.5 cooldown. It should just be 0. Anyway, yeah, but this 1 to 3 cost, he's still a scrappy inventor, and the scrappy and inventor alliances fall off hard in the mid to late game. I don't care how much you buff their stats. They're still going to be garbage. Just like Clockwork, I feel like Tinker just got eliminated from the game. At the very least, you're not really going to get a 3-star Tinker anymore. It moves them away from this like powerful early game strat, which they really didn't fulfill, into like an almost powerful mid game strat. But like by the time you get them online, you're already transitioning to late game, and like the scrappy and inventor bonus are just not good in the late game. So I don't know. I don't like these changes at all to Clockwork and Tinker. Do not like them one bit. Treant Protector, gold cost increased from 2 to 3. Maximum health changed, got buffed. Damage changed, and radius decreased. Okay, that's good. That's good. And expires when the target dies. Thank you. Thank you. So Treant was like the best early game unit. By far, his healing was absurd. Like a 2-star Treant in the early game, which you could very reasonably get on the first PvP round on round 4, would like do like 2,000 plus healing in our fight, which was just bonkers. That's like more than health total than you had to start with. So reducing the radius should substantially limit his healing to just a small area rather than healing everybody on your team. So we should move away from the dominance of Treant Protector. So that's very nice. A more fun early games. Troll Warlord, attack speed increased, maximum health increased, everything increased, and the gold cost went up to 5. Okay, sweet. So Troll Warlord is now, I mean, he's still going to be critical to complete Troll synergy, and the warriors are still going to want him, but yeah, making him 5 cost, very similar to Medusa, probably an appropriate nerf. Troll Warlord was really too good, and locking these like really powerful synergies behind 5 cost units, I'm okay with. I am okay with. It moves you away from just throw the best 5 cost units you want in there to, hey, I need to complete this synergy. I need a 5 cost unit. But that kind of leads you to like the techies issue where you had with Scrappy and Inventors, where in order to complete the 6 Scrappy bonus, you needed techies, and therefore people didn't want to play it because getting a 5 cost unit was unreliable, especially now that there are going to be more 5 cost units in the pool. You know, there's, by my count, we lost one. We lost Tidehunter, but we gained Medusa and Troll Warlord. So on average, it's going to be harder to find any given one of them. So now, like, trolls are more risky. Same with hunters. So that's probably fair because they were 2 of the top strategies. Tusk, buff at all levels of some health. It's fair. Tusk was pretty weak. I'm starting to feel like with these small buffs to warriors all over the place that we're going to see a more warrior meta start to come into focus coming up in this patch. Venomancer, maximum health changed from 550 down to 500. Gold cost changed from 3 down to 1, which is expected because something had to give whenever we swapped the goblin mechs, or the scrappy inventors. Sorry, they used to be called goblin mechs. Scrappy inventors from 1 to 3, we had to move some 3s down to 1. Plague wards, now he makes 1, 1, 3 rather than 1, 2, 4. And attack damage has been slightly nerfed. Okay. I like this, actually. Venomancer was pretty weak, and now you can actually start with an earlier 2-star Venomancer, making for some more. This should mix up gameplay. I think you'll still want to play Venomancer, certainly more so than you'll want to play the old Tinker and Clockwork. So that's good. Plague Ward armor has been reduced. Maximum health slightly buffed at 3-star, which is now more reasonable to get because you have Venomancer at 1 cost rather than at 3. And damage increased? Yes. Well, damage has, wait, from 50 to 100 now to 50, 50. Oh, I guess actually has been nerfed at tier 1 and 2. That's fair because it's now a 1 cost unit. Viper, maximum health increased at 3-star. Okay, more of this 3-star crap. Stand by the rant. Sorry, this is getting really long and I'm getting out of breath, but this is a really long patch, so we're going to keep chugging along. Wind Ranger, maximum health has been buffed at 3-star. Damage has been decreased and gold cost has been reduced. Power shot damage has been cut in half at tier 1 and by 200 at tier 2. How do I make sense of this? Hunters, I think Hunters got a substantial nerf now that there's only 6 Hunters that exist, and one of them is now a 5 cost unit, Medusa. And Wind Ranger coming online a bit earlier is like nice because she still has the same health. Her attack damage is not that much lower. Not by much, but her power shot is substantially weaker. So yeah, I think this is a slight nerf to Hunters on the whole. Wind Ranger was a big carry in Hunters. She dealt a lot of AoE damage, and now that's going to be pretty substantially cut back. Okay, that was just the unit changes. Now we've got a whole Alliance item rework to talk about. Okay, so Alliance items now no longer have an inherent tier and are in their own category. So at the start of every game, Alliance items are randomly assigned a tier 1, 2, or 3, and are then mixed into the item pool and awarded as normal. So each player can have an item Alliance appear at different tiers. So for example, player A could be offered Strange Bedfellows at tier 1, where it would provide a 30% bonus to your Demon Hunters, while player B could be offered Strange Bedfellows at tier 3, which would provide a 50% bonus. So you can have different tiers of these global items, and that is... that's a new level of RNG. It's like, all right, so I'm going to go into this game and like, wait, do they tell you? Do they tell you at the start of the game, oh, here's what the tiers are for everything? Because that would be really unfortunate. It's like, ooh, I can pick up like an early 2-star anti-mage and want to go into Strange Bedfellows. And then you find out that it's the tier 1 version. And you're like, oh, that sucks. I wish I could get it at tier 3 and it would be a 50% bonus. I guess you have a slightly higher chance of now getting multiples, but I feel like this is... If they don't tell you what tiers you were rolled that game, I don't really like this change. If they do tell you, I think it's an interesting change where it's like, okay, I went into this game, I know that, I don't know, warriors are strong, because that's kind of what I'm predicting. I know that warriors are strong, but their ability unstoppable. Oh, I rolled it at tier 1 and I'm not going to find it after the first couple rounds. You may get that and you're like, okay, it's not going to be very strong. And yeah, so like that could like change how your game plan and how you evaluate units on a game to game basis. But if they don't tell you, it just feels bad when you suddenly find out what it is and you're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be that, and you just feel bad about it. So I'm kind of neutral on this. I'm kind of curious to see how this all plays out. I'm not going to go through all of these. Basically, they all changed in exactly the same way, in that their previous baseline ability looks to pretty consistently be at the tier 2 level of what it used to be, except for Strange Bedfellows is baseline at the tier 1, and it just goes up from there. They substantially nerfed Retaliate. It used to be 80 at all levels, and now it's 30, 45, 60. So that's nice because Retaliate was too strong. Age of Chivalry, okay, it's the same kind of deal. Okay, so let me just quickly skim here, see if there's anything else substantially changed. Wicked Intent, I guess, has been nerfed. Now you only get it, I guess you would only get it at the 25%, which is what it used to be, because it was a tier 3 item. Dragon's Horde the same. Final Flash. Yeah, it seems like all the ones that were tier 3 now kind of pegged to that tier 3 unit, or the tier 3 version, and subsequently. Okay, so that makes sense. Anything else here to talk about? Shaman Pluck, yeah, it's the same. Font of Creation. Primordials now produce high rank Eidolons based on the tier of Font of Creation Eidolons. I still feel like this is going to be a weak one, so I'm not that impressed. Okay, other item changes. Maelstrom tier change from 4 to 3. Well, I mean, I thought Maelstrom was kind of the weaker of the tier 4 units, or tier 4 items, compared to Daedalus and Moonshard. It was only really better on something like Troll Warlord, or like Slark or Bloodseeker, who got a lot of bonus attack speed. So, I mean, this is just straight buff to Maelstrom. Now you're going to want to pick it up a lot on tier 3. Vicious Intent tier changed from 4 to 3, which is good because it was pretty worthless on tier 4 with all the other powerful items. And now it should provide a bit more early game kind of pressure. If you're already winning, you pick this up and you win a lot harder. Still, I'd rather pick up something like Maelstrom or Vanguard or other tier 3 items. Force Staff tier change from 3 to 2. This item is still garbage. Please do not pick it. It is still crap. Do not like it. Font of Creation Eidolons, maximum health. Wait, why didn't they? Okay, whatever. They kind of mentioned this twice. Radiance tier change from 4 to 5. Wow. I already thought Radiance was like a really good tier 4 item, but I don't think it was the best. Maybe it was the best or second best. So yeah, it got substantially nerfed up to tier 5. Silver Lining can only have 1. Charges start at 1. That's a buff to Silver Lining, which is fair because they basically killed the item in the last rework. So now it's a little bit more reasonable. Daedalus crit multiplier has been nerfed. Damage has been nerfed. That's fair because Daedalus was my other top tier 4 item. I use the word tier too much in describing these. Arcane Boots range changed from 1 to 2. That's really strong buff. I already liked Arcane Boots quite a bit. That's a really strong buff. Arcane Boots are now probably one of the best items you can pick up. I have Scotty tier change from 3 to 4. I don't know if that's really necessary because you already nerfed Medusa from tier 4 to 5. And she was like the only one who ever wanted I have Scotty. I guess it's fine on other people too. Battle Fury damage added as 70? What? Does it give bonus attack now? Does it give 70 bonus attack? Oh. If that's what that means, then yeah, Battle Fury just became like really, really strong. Cleave percentage went up a little bit, but just plus 70 attack damage is insane. Like makes it on par with Daedalus now. Gives the damage plus a crit. Now it gives damage plus cleave. Summoning Stone bonus attack speed increased. Whatever. It's still like a niche item. Chainmail bonus armor reduced. That's fair. Chainmail was like one of, if not the best tier 1 items. Mask of Madness tier change from 2 to 3. That is a nerf to those kind of strategies a little bit, but the attack speed now is plus 60 and lifesteal to 20. So I still think Mask of Madness is going to be a great tier 3 item in a lot of cases, but really you're thinking, hey, Mask of Madness was a tier 2 item and now it's going to compete with Maelstrom, which was a tier 4 item. So I don't really know if it stacks up that well. I'll have to run the math, but my gut instinct is that you probably still want Mask of Madness on something like Drow Ranger, but now that Troll Warlord is like really hard to find, I'm not too optimistic that you're going to want to pick Mask of Madness up all the time. Completing the cycle, range has been increased. Ooh, so that's a nice kind of compensation buff to like nerfing Treant Protector really hard. I think this is actually really substantial, more so than I think a lot of other people may think on gut instinct. Druids, I'd be curious to see if Druids move into a more like reasonable late game meta play, especially with like the nerfs to mages, so a nerf to burst damage. You may start to see more like healing centric comps, and maybe people running 4 Druids with completing the cycle to like really heal up, like a warrior comp or something like that. Warriors with Druids. Recruiter change from first reroll to free is to rerolls now cost 1 gold. Tier change from 5 to 4. I still think it's a garbage item. There's still a lot better things on tier 4 than this. And by the time you're picking up these items, like, I guess you're rerolling a bit. Like, you really want to pick this up when you still have 50 gold. And I guess it's more likely you pick that up now that it costs 4. I don't know. I'd still rather pick up Daedalus or Moonshard or the new Battle Fury rather than Recruiter in most cases. Elusive targets. Elusive units are no longer invisible, and instead they get 100% evasion for 3 seconds. Oh, it's so good. That's amazing, because elusive targets was actively bad a lot of the times. It would make your team, like, any non-elusive units on your team would just get instantly targeted. Oh, you got like a Medusa in the back? Oh, everybody attacks it, because the treant you put in front to protect her is elusive, is invisible. So, yeah, this is a huge buff to elusive. So I think we're going to see a shift away from a lot of knights, hunters, and trolls and mages as kind of the meta. Maybe now we're going to see a lot more warriors, druids, elusive, and assassins. So, it's always good to see a shifting meta, and I think this will help that shift of meta. Higher class of criminal, tier change from 3 to 5. That's good. This item is now garbage, obvious reasons. You're going to want to pick like any other 5-cast item over this. It's fair. A lot of complaints were about how many people just spammed 4 and 5-cast units, and nerfing this was a big offender. Shaman Pluck ignores magic immune enemies. Not relevant to me. Still a garbage unit. Or garbage item. Loot rounds. Oh my god, there's so much here. Okay, so the long and short of this loot rounds change, just to speed up this video because it's already going absurdly long, is losing to neutral creep waves no longer removes items. You basically get offered items from a lower tier if you lose to them. So don't lose to creep rounds. That may be a little bit harder now, though. There are changes to the creep rounds where they basically have nerfed the health and damage of all of the creeps, but they added this keyword to all of them. This is pretty much the same across every single tier, is they nerf the damage and armor and health, and then add either like bonus armor or bonus attack and crit or a bloodbound type effect, and so on and so forth. So it's hard for me to really tell if this is a buff or nerf to all of them. It definitely seems like something like Black Dragon has been buffed. He now deals 100% splash damage and gets 75% magic resistance. So it looks to me like they are buffing the creep round, so they're going to be much harder to beat. So I think that's fair. I think that's appropriate because they were really too easy. It should be a little bit of a fear of whether or not you're going to beat them. I'm not going to go through all of them because it's pretty tedious to talk about all of them, and this video's already gone on really long. So that is the biggest patch we've ever had for Underlords. Thank you so much for sticking with me through all of this. I really do appreciate it, and if you appreciate it, please do like and subscribe, and you can keep up to date with all the Underlords content. I will be playing games on this new patch as soon as it is out, and I will get you lots of gameplay videos and my thoughts on how the meta is developing. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.